listening to DINO 106.5, bringing you the greatest Mesozoic hits, spanning all the way from the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous period. Now, here's the Dinosaur Review for Kids.
Welcome everyone to the Science Lab Studios here at the Stomp Chomp Roar House. My name is Mad Scientist Dinosaur Ranger Anthony. It's raining here today in Omaha, Nebraska. It couldn't be any more eerie for today's Halloween special Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. I am just super pumped to do this one today, you guys. I've been planning it for it all week. It's a Halloween special of the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. We are just a few days away from Halloween, and I cannot wait to dive into another dinosaur species. Does everybody know what they're going to be for Halloween this year? We just got our daughter's costumes this week. We've got a witch, and we've got Moana from Disney's Moana. So that is the two Halloween costumes we bought for my junior dinosaur rangers here at the Stomp Chomp Roar House. I hope you guys have got your costumes for this year. You get tons of candy, caramel apples. You just start rotting those teeth out just like dinosaur teeth. We want them smelly, we want them slimy, we want them disgusting, and we want them falling out because they will grow back just like dinosaur teeth. Nope, they won't. You'll get a set of adult teeth and then you'll be done. So you'll have to start eating very good and healthy foods after that. But let's dive in, you guys. We're doing the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast, the Halloween special. Today's dinosaur is an extra special one. It's another sauropod, and I truly love the sauropod dinosaurs. This Sunday is Halloween, so remember, if you want to join our Dinosaur Hybrids Zoom lesson, it's part of the Patreon Club. Just search Stomp Chomp Roar on Patreon.com or on the Patreon app, and you can take advantage of the interactive Zoom lesson about dinosaur hybrids this Sunday on Halloween at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So it's during the afternoon, so you'll have plenty of time to go out and do all your trick-or-treating. But as we discussed, we're doing another sauropod dinosaur today, and I'm going to do a little Halloween twist, because after we do our review of this sauropod dinosaur, we are going to discuss the Apatosaurus Brontosaurus mystery. What happened to Brontosaurus? And I'm going to fill you guys in. So let's go ahead and dive on in, you guys. We're doing the Halloween special today for the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my dinosaur review. So remember, you guys, if you want to print off the scorecard, just go to my website, stompchomproar.com. You can go to the Science Lab tab, and then you'll click on the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. Right there will be a post, and you'll be able to print off the PDF for the scorecard, and you can do it along with me, or you can go and do your very own dinosaur reviews at home. But I've got my scorecard pull up. We're doing the Apatosaurus, the Brontosaurus, and these names mean the deceptive lizard or the thunder lizard. But which one is real? We do not know. Everyone gets so confused. What happened to Brontosaurus? Who is the Apatosaurus? Well, you will find out after we do our review, but let's go ahead and get started. This review is mainly on the Apatosaurus because the Brontosaurus turned into the Apatosaurus. So the Apatosaurus is the deceptive lizard. Now, this is a Saurischian dinosaur. That means it is a lizard-hipped dinosaur, and then it falls into the sauropod family. So the sauropods are the quadrupedal herbivores. That means they walk on four legs, and they're eating plants. And then they fall into the Diplodocids family. So that's where we find our Apatosaurus. So how big was this dinosaur? What was its length, its height, its weight? So our Apatosaurus, he's up to 80 feet long. I'm pulling my scorecard down. He's up to 80 feet long. He's up to 15 feet tall at the hips. We do dinosaur height at the hips. So he's up to 80 feet long, up to 15 feet high, and he could weigh anywhere up to 45 tons. He's one of the biggest dinosaurs to ever walk on the planet. He's part of the sauropods. They are just massive. So you guys, he is up to, you could park 2 school buses right next to each other, and that is about how big our Apatosaurus is going to be in length. Now, how fast was this dinosaur? I'm finding a lot of research. He's coming in at about 12 miles per hour. He's got those 4 column-like legs, and they would have walked, estimated, about 16 to 25 miles per day looking for vegetation and more food to keep them fed. They're just massive animals. They had to constantly be eating and eating and eating. Now let's get into their weapons or their defense. What is some of the stuff that this dinosaur would have had? So our Apatosaurus, he's got a small head. It's up to 2 feet long in length, a very small brain. The sauropods aren't some of the smartest dinosaurs. They have a very small brain up in their skull. They have head nostrils, so their nostrils are above, ours sit below our nose. A lot of the sauropods, they're sitting kind of about at eye length, eye height, or higher. So they got those nostrils up on their foreheads. They've got peg-like teeth, kind of like pencils. So think of if you have a bunch of pencils in your hands, that is how their teeth are going to look. They got their bunch of little pegs or like pencil-like teeth, and then they're kind of like a garden rake. So if you imagine a garden rake raking the vegetation, so you're raking away the weeds or whatnot in your garden, that's about how the teeth are going to be on our Apatosaurus. They just constantly rake away the vegetation, the conifers, the mosses, the ferns that were around during the Jurassic period, and they swallow them whole. So the sauropods aren't doing very much chewing. You guys chew your food, I know, but the sauropods, they are constantly swallowing, just swallowing all that vegetation. How would you guys like to swallow salads whole? I mean, if I had a lot of ranch, maybe, but without any salad dressing, I am going to have to chew that lettuce. So our sauropods are not chewing, they're swallowing that vegetation whole. Going into their stomachs, they have something called gastroliths, and those are rocks that they swallow, and those rocks kind of jumble up in the stomach, and that is what actually breaks down the vegetation that they're eating, and that is what birds do today. Now our sauropod, the Apatosaurus, he's got that long neck with about 15 vertebrae. His neck is parallel to the ground. So that what that means is if you had a line of the ground and a line of the Apatosaurus's neck, they go along each other. They don't crisscross. They're parallel. They both go the same direction. And it's not perpendicular, kind of like Brachiosaurus, where his neck goes up and down, or Apatosaurus, it goes to the side, out, parallel. Brachiosaurus up, Apatosaurus parallel with the ground. So its head could reach about 17 feet high, so a little bit higher. He can lift his head a little higher than his hips, but if you imagine the predator around during the Jurassic period when our Apatosaurus is living is the Allosaurus, the creepy Allosaurus, and he's reaching heights of about 15 feet high. So you can see if our Apatosaurus is getting his head a couple feet higher than the Allosaurus, his head is gonna be higher than the Allosaurus. That's gonna be in his advantage. His height is higher than some of the predators of his day. So a full-size adult would really have that advantage. An Allosaurus coming up, finding a few healthy adult Apatosaurus, he's not going to want to mess with them. So their height is their best defense. Now they also have that long whip-like tail, and they believe it was about 50, they could be about 50 feet long. The tail had kind of a whip-like, maybe they could have used that a little bit in defense, hitting other animals, making some kind of noise with the tail to scare off any kind of predators. Now our Apatosaurus, they also have the toe claws, so in the front feet, they got like thumbs with claws, and on the back feet, the first 3 fingers fingers have the claws. So it's really unique seeing claws on the herbivores. You know, not very many people would think that the herbivore dinosaurs had any type of claws, but we do find them on our Apatosaurus, and on many of the other sauropods have those toe claws. Now, he also would have had to have a very strong heart, and I have a very strong heart, and that is why I love herbivore dinosaurs so much more than carnivores, because I have a warm heart. Well, our sauropods, our Apatosaurus, they've got to have a very powerful heart, because they've got to pump all that blood up their necks and up to their brains so they can keep themselves alive. You got to give blood to your brain so that you can keep thinking and keep moving and keep living. So they would have had to have a very strong heart in order to do that. Now, when did this dinosaur live, and how long did this species live? During the Mesozoic Era. Now, the Apatosaurus, like a lot of the other sauropods, are living in the Jurassic period, towards the late Jurassic, a little bit into the Cretaceous period. Some will go extinct going into the Cretaceous period. So our Apatosaurus is 157 to about 146 million years ago during the Jurassic period, and he is found in western North America. They don't find any bone beds of the Apatosaurus. You know, we do know that sauropods were probably living in some sort of herd groups, by eggs we find, by other bone beds of other sauropods that we find, but our Apatosaurus to date haven't found any bone beds, and that would be a lot of Apatosauruses all dying together in a bone bed. So when was this guy named? He was named in 1877 by Othniel Marsh, and he's one of the paleontologists from the famous Bone Wars. So, and in here in just a minute, you guys will talk a little bit more about the Bone Wars with Cope and Marsh. And that is how we'll talk about more about our Apatosaurus Brontosaurus mystery. So let's go ahead and we'll rate our Apatosaurus before we go into our mystery portion of today's Halloween special podcast. So you guys, he is very long. He's 80 feet long, 15 feet tall, up to 45 tons. He's one of the biggest animals to ever walk on our Earth. 12 miles per hour. You know, his biggest defense is going to be his height. You know, he's towering over a lot of the predators during the Jurassic period, so no one's going to want to come up and try and challenge, you know, the tallest dinosaur in the room. So they're going to stay clear, especially from those healthy adults. You know, maybe some of the juveniles or some of the, you know, sick, elderly Apatosaurus maybe would get picked on, but if you were a healthy adult, you were probably in the clear from any kind of predators during the Jurassic period. They got that long whip-like tail for a little bit more defense. They got those toe claws. I'm not sure if they would have used them in any kind of defense, probably more for vegetation, being able to grasp the land, kind of like traction chains on tires in the snow. So maybe those claws could have helped them gain traction as well in their environment as they were walking around Pangea. They lived during the late Jurassic period, found in Western North America. So let's go ahead and this one was very difficult, you guys. Where was I going to put the Apatosaurus on the official fossil scale? 1 out of 10 fossils, 1 fossil being some of the worst dinosaurs, 10 fossils being some of the best dinosaurs. So I made a couple calls. I had to really see where I was going to have to put this guy, and at the end of the day, I felt the most comfortable putting it above our Suchomimus and giving it an 8.6. So 8.6 for our Apatosaurus. Suchomimus was just there at 8.5. I just didn't feel comfortable putting Apatosaurus underneath Suchomimus, so I had to put him up 8.6 on the fossil scale, everyone. That is our Apatosaurus Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast on the podcast fossil scale. So that is a little bit more about that sauropod dinosaurs. I love sauropods. I've got my new sauropod right here, my Apatosaurus. I just picked him up from Target this last week. I just love the long neck dinosaurs. But now it is time to talk about the mystery of the Apatosaurus Brontosaurus, and it's just a crazy crazy one, you guys. Everyone knows about the Brontosaurus. And for my video cast viewers, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flick these, and we're gonna hit the lights here in the dinosaur lab. We've got the flashlight, so now we can talk about the mystery, the Apatosaurus Brontosaurus mystery. What happened to Brontosaurus, everyone? No one knows. Well, actually, we do know, and I'm about to tell you. So, the Apatosaurus was named in 1877. He is the deceptive lizard. Well, our Brontosaurus, he was a little bit different, so paleontologists named it a new species in 1879. 2 years after Apatosaurus was named, Brontosaurus was named. He's named Thunder Lizard. Awesome, we've got 2 new sauropods, Apatosaurus, Brontosaurus. They're similar sauropods, but Brontosaurus became more popular with the public. You know, Thunder Lizard just has a cooler name than the Apatosaurus of Deceptive Lizard. So the public, he became more popular to everybody. He started going into more, all the pop culture, magazines, newspapers, flyers, movies would come along. We've got a Brontosaurus, he's even in stamps for the U.S. Postal Service, television shows. Everybody just took advantage of the Brontosaurus, and he became more popular. Well, in 1903, scientists determined that the Apatosaurus was just a juvenile Brontosaurus. Since they were the same species, only one name could remain. So one name had to be removed from the fossil record. So rules of paleontology, the older name of the two gets precedent. So the oldest name has the priority, and that is the one that will stay. So since the Apatosaurus was named in 1877, 2 years before Brontosaurus, the Brontosaurus was doomed, and he was sent back to extinction, never to be seen again. So for many years, museums, it took many years for museums to get updated, all their signs updated, removing Brontosaurus from the fossil record. This would take time to get everything updated. And it would take even decades for Hollywood and pop culture to remove the name Brontosaurus away from, movies and magazines and TV shows, anything in pop cultures. It wouldn't be until the mid-1970s that this would finally get removed and Brontosaurus would kind of disappear. But for me, I'm in my 30s, about 32 I believe I just turned this year. So our parents remember, look, the flashlight's going out, it's getting creepy in here. My parents remember Brontosaurus. So when I start hearing more about Apatosaurus, there starts to become confusion within the generations. So Brontosaurus is erased. Our parents really don't know why, because they're not scientists. They see Brontosaurus in pop culture. My generation sees Apatosaurus, and there becomes a little bit of confusion, and then finally acceptance when a lot more of the public realizes what happened in the fossil record when Brontosaurus was so rudely removed from the fossil record. Well, that was until 2015, just a few years ago, you guys, after a study of 477 different physical features on 81 sauropod species and a 300-page paper. The research concluded that the fossils appear different enough to split up the species once again. So, Brontosaurus was making a return. The Thunder Lizard was back. They've seen enough evidence in the back, the shoulders, and the neck to have 2 separate species. The Apatosaurus is a little bit wider, thicker of a dinosaur sauropod. So Brontosaurus is back into the fossil record, everyone. The Thunder Lizard has returned. And that is our spooky ghost story here for the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the Halloween twist for the Dinosaur Review for Kids podcast. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. We only have one more episode left before the first prehistoric cage match. And right now, it's going to be the T-Rex versus the Apatosaurus. Who would win? But wait, there's one more episode left. So could one dinosaur species come in right at the end, number 9, and challenge the T-Rex and get a higher score than our Apatosaurus? We will find out next week as we review our dinosaur species number 9. Be sure to check out my Patreon club, Stomp Chomp Roar, at Patreon, and you can become an official Junior Dinosaur Ranger. And this Sunday we will do our Dinosaur Hybrids lesson for everyone on Halloween at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So everyone, I hope everybody has a great Halloween, get plenty of candy, and make sure to brush your teeth. And as always, keep digging for dinosaurs. Happy Halloween, everyone! Boo ha 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 ha!